Radha Krishna Seva Pava Eha Pilaha Hatsi Yetomara Sharan Lahi Karavancha Puna Hoe Kripa Kari Karagotare Vrindavana Bhagatsi Moragea Bilas Bilas Kunje Diovas Nayan Heri Vagatsada Jugala Rupa Ragasi Eneve Danadara Sageranugata Kora Sevahari Koraudie Koronija Dahasi Jina Krishna Tasi Koi Hey Namora Koi Shiradha Govinda Preme Sada Yena Bhagatsi Shiradha Govinda Preme Sada Yena Bhagatsi Tula se Krishna Prayase Namo Nahuma Tula se Krishna Prayase Namo Nahuma Yanikane Papane Brahma Tani tani prana shanti pradaksina Pade Pate. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi. Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi. Jaya Tulsi Devi. Rindayai Tulsi Devi, Priyai Hai Keshavasya Cha. Camera, action. Oops, a little bit too bright. That's better. Living in a TV studio. So, do those have bugs on them? Yeah. Maybe give it to your mother then. She likes bugs. Anyway. Alrighty. All right. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunyabi Hahudvi Joy Radha Madhava Kunyabi Hahudvi Gopijana Balaba Hiri Padadhagotvi Gopijana Balaba Hiri Padadhagotvi Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Manachari Yamona Tera Panachati Jai Hurad Umadhava Kunabhati Jai Radha Madhuba Kunja Bihari Gopijana Palaba Kiribadadagotri Gopijana Palaba Kiribadadagotri Yasodanandana Brajajana Yasodanandana Brajajana Yamuna Tera Panachati Yamuna Tera Panachati Jai Hurad Humadava Kunja Bihati. Jai Hurad Humaduva Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravidagacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Mara Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Param Se Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopa Govardhan Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuradam Ki Jai, Jagadath Swami Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Srimati Lasadevi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, 16th chapter, text 60. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Some sort of bug. It's the season to be harassed by other living entities. There's actually a positive and a negative side to everything. So the positive side is the flowers are blooming and you can go swimming, and at the same time the bugs are crawling all over your body. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:16, 60. Shri Shuka Vacha Iti Akanya Vachaha Praha Bhagavan Karya Manushaha Natra Steham Tvaya Sarpa Samudram Yahi Ma Chiram Swa Yati Apacha Taradyo Go Revere Bhujate Nadi Shri Shukovacha Itchakarnya Vacha Praha Bhagavan Karyamanushaha Natrasteyam Tvaya Sarpa Samudram Yahi Machiram Swagyatjapatjadaratyo Gonri Bir Bhujate Nade Shri Shukovacha Itchakarnya Vachapraha Bhagavan Karyamanushaha Natrasteyam Tvaya Sarpa Samudram yakimachiram. Swagyatya pachadaraja. Gonri bir bujate nati. Shri Shigurvacha Ityakanya Vachaka Praha Bhagavan Karyamanushaha Natrasteyam Tvaya Sarpa Samudram Yahimachiram Swagyatya Pachadaradyo Gonri bir bujate nati. Okay, anybody? Sukuvacha. People having trouble hearing. Okay. Now the volume's higher. All right. So we'll go on. Shri Shukovacha. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Iti thus, Akarnya, hearing, Vachaha, these words, Praha, then spoke. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Karyamanushaha, who is acting like a human being. Na, not. Atra, here. Stayam, should remain. Tvaya, you. Sarpa, my dear serpent. Actually, sarpa means someone who wiggles and crawls around. That's a direct meaning. Samudram, to the ocean. Yahi, go. Machiram, without delay. Swa, your own. Yati, by the companions. Apacha, children. Dara, and wife. Adyaha, adequately accompanied. Go, by the cows. Nribihi, and the humans. Bujate, let it be enjoyed. Nadi, the river Yamuna. Translation. Shukadev Goswami said after hearing Kaliya's words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was acting the role of a human being, replied, O serpent, you may not remain here any longer. Go back to the ocean immediately, accompanied by your retinue of children, wives, other relatives, and friends. Let this river be enjoyed by the cows and humans. You can repeat. Shukadeva Goswami said, after hearing Kaliya's words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is acting the role of a human being, replied, "O serpent, you may not remain here any longer. Go back to the ocean immediately, accompanied by your retinue of children, wives of the relatives, and friends. Let this river be enjoyed by the cows and humans." So there's no purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, so I'm going to read the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this verse because it's part of what I'm going to speak about. Though difficult for Brahma or Shiva to do, Krishna was able to punish Kaliya just by using a human form, Karya Manusha. He did not hold his Shankha and Chakra for this act. Karya can also mean pastime. Thus, Karya Manusha can mean he who takes the form of a human for performing sweet pastimes, or Karya Manusha can mean Brahman, which takes the form of a human. Or Karya Manusha can mean the Lord who performs activities among humans. Karya Manusha said, "You must go from here." So Karya Manusha Uvacha. "You must go from here along with your children and wives to the ocean because the cows and cowherdsmen use this Yamuna river with its water and banks filled with grass, leaves, and fruits." And Jiva Goswami, we're going to read his commentary. Hearing this, Krishna replied, "He speaks with the understanding that whatever he says, Kaliya should do. Bhagavan appears in his own human form to benefit the humans, Karya Manushaha. Or he performs play, Karya, with human-like pastimes, Manushaha. Not with a material body. Or he spreads his prema, Karya. Wow. It's the same word, pronounced exactly the same word, the same accents and everything like that. To all men, Manushaha. Wow. Karya means prema also. Playfulness. So since humans are the principal objects when he appears among humans, this means that it is improper for snakes to be present at the main abode of the Lord, Vrindavan. Or he has devotees, Manushaha, worthy of respect, Arya, by even Brahma, Ka. So he's turning the word Karya around to Arya and Ka. This is amazing. To make them happy, you should not remain here. O snake, it is improper to remain here. This shows Kaliya's ability to move, since sarpa means to crawl, which is what I said. He should go with his relatives. The word swa indicates that they had similar poison, so the wives also, and other relatives, they had similar poison, and also shows they were dependent on him. So let's go back to the verse here. It's quite interesting what Srila Jiva Goswami did with his analysis here. So, Shishukovache ityakarnya vacha praha bhagavan karyamanushaha. Anatra steyam toya sarpa samudram yahimachiram. Swa yat yatpatja daradyo gonrivir bhujate nadi. So, Omaganat miranda sha kananjana shalakaya chakshur unmeritam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is quite a contrast that we see, not just that we see, but Kali is seeing and other personalities have seen between the small form of the Lord, little boy, and the great power that he possesses and the understanding that he's God. I mean, it's quite easy to understand someone's God when he shows up with 4 arms and he has a chakra and all these other paraphernalia, the other paraphernalia, conch and disc, etc., and lotus. Then It's actually quite easier. Or when you see the universal form, it's even easier for me to understand that he's God. So there's many devotees or many people who have become confused by this. And actually, I was thinking, as we were giving the class last night, someone asked this question. I was thinking about this whole subject matter. They were talking about Lord Jagannath. I don't know if anyone heard the class last night, but someone asked this question that almost caused me to flip out. I don't even think I could repeat the question because it was just like, it basically, let's see how to paraphrase it so I don't freak out today. So it was basically that they took a part of Krishna's body when he left this world and they put it into the Jagannath form. And in other words, Krishna had a material body and he was cremated. And so it took all the self-control I had to answer the person's question. I said, this is bogus. It's bogus, completely bogus. I did say that. I said, it's bogus nonsense. I said that, there's so many different, let us say, rituals and so many different misunderstandings and theories that people have. But basically it points out to Avajananti Ma Mudha. They don't understand Krishna's position. And even in Jagannath Puri, they basically, many people, not everyone, many people, especially the pandas, that's not pundits, consider that Lord Jagannath is like Purinath. And Prabhupada said that when he was trying to arrange for the devotees to go into the Jagannath temple. He said, Lord Jagannath is Jagannath. He's not Purinath. Jagannath means the Nath, the controller, the Lord of Jagat. Means the universe. And so that means Sarva Yonishu Kontiya Murtiya Sambhavantiya. And also means that Mami Bangsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So anyway, the parts and parcels of Krishna, he's the Lord of all the parts and parcels of Krishna, but they can't get that into their tiny little brains, that he's the Lord of all the creatures. It's insane. It's actually insane. He's the only, this is racism, of course, he's only the Lord of people with certain skin or genetics or even born in India. Actually, they get upset if someone who was born in India moves to the West and then comes back and tries to go in the temple if they discover that. So it is hard to understand that the Lord of everyone is there. Of course, it's a big deity. Not like most of the deities we have in ISKCON, the Jagannath deities, they're smaller. Although I remember in New Vrindavan during with the Bhagavad Dharma discourses. Was anyone there during that time? I was there. Bhagavad Dharma discourses, when Prabhupada was doing that in 1972, that they had this giant Jagannath there on the stage with Prabhupada. So it's probably easier to understand that he's God if you make him bigger. If you have yesterday I was the other day I was in the store, or close to the store, and Abhimanyu came out with his little tiny Jagannath. You understand? Jagannath Baladev Subhadra was this little tiny thing. He was shopping in the store. No, it was the real wooden ones, the real small wooden ones, about this small. Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. And he brought it out, and he gave it to me. Of course, I guess he's my guru now. He's giving me Krishna. And, it's really hard to imagine. There's God, isn't it? Just because of our material conceptions, the bigger the form is, it's easier to understand. Think about it for a second. Especially, if you have a Govardhan Shila, there's God. Or Shalagram Shila. There's God. I mean, it's really hard for people to conceive of that. So, universal form is about as big as you can get in this world. And then you can really understand he's God. So we're not alone in being confused by this. Because just like Arya Ka, which is what Jiva Goswami said. You remember Arya Ka? That means even Lord Brahma is actually confused by this. I mean, how can I say Lord Brahma is confused by it? Well, that's why Lord Brahma kidnapped the coward boys, or attempted to kidnap the coward boys, because he just thought, let's see if this guy is actually God. Of course, he also says there's several explanations by the acharyas that he wanted to have fun. And Sripad Madhvacharya, he doesn't even want to deal with this particular subject matter because Madhvacharya, being in the Madhva Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, not Gaudiya Sampradaya, but Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, Madhvacharya considers him, and he is our first preceptor in the Sampradaya, after Krishna. Of course, Krishna is the original preceptor, Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. So he doesn't even want to comment on this Brahma Vimohana Lila. So Lord Brahma was bewildered. Because, here he got this little guy. Can you imagine? I mean, smaller than Ishvara over there, real small. Somewhere between Ishvara and Abhimanyu, right? Somewhere size, medium size. So, and then he's God. And then Mother Yashoda, she looks in his mouth. Of course, that's Yogamaya. She's not bewildered by false pride, obviously. She is under the jurisdiction Mahatmanas Tumam Partha Daivam Prakritim Ashrita. She's under the Daiva Prakriti. So she looks in his mouth and she sees all the universes. I mean, it's just, if you think about it, it's just like incredible that here's this little boy and you look in his mouth and all the universes are there. And then, another thing is that we're worshiping Krishna on the altar here. And do we always remember he's God? I mean, of course, those of you who are more advanced than I, you're thinking, he's my buddy on the altar. or you're looking at Radharani and you're thinking, she's the competitor for my worshipful deity. Anyway, so if you happen to be a follower of Chandravali. Anyway, so I mean, it's just like, I may not be on that platform, sorry. I'm trying to cement in my mind that here's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada actually emphasized that too. He said, when he was installing the deities, he was crying and he was saying to the devotees, you have to realize, I mean, that's not the exact words, but he's crying, you're dealing directly with God here. Wow. And basically, we worship the deities. I mean, of course, some of you are more advanced than me, so I'm not going to put you all on my platform. But because I don't have the adhikar to be that advanced. I haven't had any spurtis lately. You know what a spurti is? A spurti is not like, when you're chanting and it spurts out or something like that. A spurti is when you have this vision, like in the Jaiva Dharma, there's this sannyasi who joins Babaji, and he's thinking, when can I give up my dress and dress up as a Vaishnava? Because he was dressed as, I guess, Mayavadi sannyasi. And then he has this spurti, and he's able to see Mayapur as it was when Lord Chaitanya was there. Wow. I'm still waiting for my first spurti. I just look at my computer, look at the deity. So anyway, we have to be reminded, as Prabhupada wanted us to worship the deities in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. That's a God mood. Of course, let's just say, if you're on a higher platform, keep that to yourself. Do that, you're worshiping Krishna. And it is Krishna in Vrindavan. Or not is. He is Krishna in Vrindavan. And that is Radharani. But the mood is different. It has to be in the mood of awe and reverence. That's why we do things very punctually. Because it's obedience. We're being trained in obedience. And that's Vaidhi. You're trained in obedience. And then later on, you don't need obedience anymore. Krishna is your friend. You could, like the story of Raghunandana. He wasn't thinking the deity of Krishna was God because he was on a higher platform. What was he thinking? Well, I don't know what Rasa had. I think it was friendship, but don't remember right now. But he was thinking, Krishna's a coward boy, and if he doesn't eat, I'm just going to cry and make him eat. So the whole story is when his father, Mukunda, went away. His father was a physician, and he went away to do some medical business, and he assigned the deity worship to Raghunandana. And Raghunandana, when he made the offering, I guess he didn't know any of the mantras, but the only mantra he knew was, eat, eat. Just like when you offer food to your child, your daughter or son, you don't usually say mantras. I mean, I haven't seen that. Can you imagine, you bow down in front of your son. It's like Leela Shakti bowing down in front of Ishwar Chaitanya. Say, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Ishwar Chaitanya Namane, or something like that. No, you say, eat. That's an intimate relationship, isn't it? So here's the food. She doesn't do any special ritual when she gives you food. No? She just puts it down, plop, on the table. Says, it's time for dinner. Come and eat. So for those who are really advanced, they can deal with the deities like that, like Sanatana Goswami. Madan Mohan. He wasn't thinking of Madan Mohan as God. Of course, he was understanding that the immature devotees had to treat him as God. So that, he had these both conceptions there. He understood philosophically, but his bhav was not there's God. Because if he was thinking it was there's God, it would have been, when Madan Mohan said, can I have some salt, please? He would have said, yes, sir. Okay. And he would be shivering. You're thinking it's God, and God says something to you. You say, okay, I'll get it right away. Just like people were, because they understood Prabhupada was Krishna's dear most representative, people would shiver sometimes when Prabhupada would give it, or be very nervous. I was very nervous in front of Prabhupada. Like I remember offering Prabhupada cookies. Told the story that I was in the car with Prabhupada, and I forgot to offer the cookies to the people we were preaching to, who were coming back from a preaching engagement, and then Sasrup Maharaj, who was in the car at the same time, said, Prabhupada might want some of the cookies. I said, really? And I was shaking. I was shaking as though I was holding the plate, and it said, he could take a cookie. And then I took the plate back right away. And then Prabhupada wanted more, but I was too nervous to understand he wanted more. And Sasrup Maharaj said, he wants more. I said, okay. Because I wasn't like Prabhupada's servant in that sense. So I always had that respectful mood. And actually, Prabhupada did say that it's very dangerous for immature devotees to be worshiping the deities or being close with the spiritual master. And you see that actually people developed, I wouldn't say so much a disrespectful mood, but they just considered Prabhupada an ordinary person. I mean, even listening to some of the memories that I've heard, it's just, it borders on, not offensiveness, but it borders on complacency. That you're just like thinking, oh, Prabhupada's my buddy. I've heard that, It's like his buddy. The spiritual master is not your buddy. He's the friend of the poor, Lord and master of the devotees. Friend, that's true. But he's, in that sense, he's not like you put your arm around Prabhupada or do a high five with Prabhupada. Just the other day, I was, one of our members brought their young son, and they said, "Bless our son." And I said, "Bless," and he went like that. And I knew what he was doing because I do that with little kids all the time. So anyway, so with Prabhupada, we find that people with Prabhupada and people with the deities too, it happens. You actually become complacent. I remind myself all the time when I'm dealing with Giriraj that, he's God. And at the same time, he's Giriraj. But Lord Chaitanya, when he was dealing with Giriraj, it's different. Lord Chaitanya is described before he gave the Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami. We were talking about Raghunath Das Goswami the other day. Lord Chaitanya would take the Govardhan Shila, smell it, put it to his heart, wash it with his tears. Wow. I mean, I don't know if I have the ID card to do that. Oh, I did put the Govardhan Shila in my head, yeah, and my heart. That is true. But to actually wash the Govardhan Shila with my tears. And anyway, I don't cry, so it doesn't. Because there's no ecstasy anyway. The only thing I cry about is Prasadam is late. So anyway, so really, because yesterday we were talking about Adhikar. This is what classes. So anyway, so you see all these different personalities who acted inimically towards Krishna because they forgot that Krishna, and I'm not talking about Yashodamaya. That's Yogamaya, something different. But they acted in such a way, and I noted down others. Indra, of course. He was thinking, who is this puffed up little kid, I mean, it's, I forget the exact words of their tiny little friend. Actually, that's the expression in the Christian book, isn't it? They're puffed up. Talkative, tiny little, puny little, this is what Indra was thinking, puny little kid. I'm going to teach them a lesson because they're listening to him. And, so we can succumb to that mentality. I mean, obviously, I don't succumb to that mentality. I always remember that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of this contrast between the conception of God and the presentation of Krishna. Isn't it? I mean, it's really amazing. This contrast, it appears almost diametrically opposed, little boy and God. And so therefore, we have all these people in the Western world who cannot accept that Krishna is God, or accept that God has a personality. They say, of course, this is one of the things we run into all the time, that if you say that God has a body and a personality, that limits him. It's a limit, confines him. Of course, the answer to that is that if you say God doesn't have a personality, that limits him, because you're taking something away from him. So we can answer that way. It doesn't have a body. So God must both have the unlimited feature, the expanded every, Maya tatam idam sarvam, jagat avyakta murtina. Isn't it? 9th chapter of the Gita. Matstani sarvabhutani naham teshvavastata. So the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita explains this very nicely. So he's expanded everywhere, and that's what it means to be unlimited. If you're only one of them, you're not unlimited. You're not God. If you're only expanded everywhere and you're not localized, you're missing something. If you're only expanded everywhere and you don't have personal loving relationships with people, you're limited. So they're taking away something from God, from Krishna. So anyway, as far as ourselves are concerned, we always have to, in our minds, reconcile these two aspects of dealing with Krishna in order to perform devotional service. And even if we're on a higher level and we're not quite at the Avaduta stage, or even if we are on the Avaduta stage, even if we are Paramahamsas, and there may be some devotees, Paramahamsas around, then we step down to the Madhyamadikari stage, because the Madhyamadikari has to make that distinction as far as his preaching and reaching out to people, and as far as the example he or she sets for others. Yad yada charati shreshtas tatait evetaro janaha. If I hypothetically was on a higher platform and I acted like it, which I'm not, and I don't act like it either. So if I was on a higher platform and acted like it would actually destroy people's devotional service. So it's important to understand, even if you're on a higher platform, when to act and when not to act on that platform. Act on the higher platform in private. Shut the door, lock it tightly, turn off your internet. And that's you and Krishna. Just like Srinivasacharya, he could function in this world and also function in the other world. He would go into trance like that. So in other words, generally, if we were feeling ecstasy, we should control it in public. And we shouldn't go in trance. Yesterday there was a lady in trance for 8 hours in the temple. And I was thinking, wow, if I had so much dedication or determination, I could make the whole world Krishna conscious. So I was appreciating her determination like that. So all right, on that happy note, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Adi Purusham Kamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Kamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Kamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha
Ajagure mana shinanana abaya charanara vendure Ajagure mana shinanana abaya charanara Pamana vajana satsanghe Ula pamana vajana satsanghe Ula pamana vajana satsanghe Ula pamana Taro Mabaga Sendure Taro Mabaga Sendure Heart of Javarishana Shita heart of Javarishana Shita heart of Javarishana Shita heart of Chapana Suka La Shapala Suka La Raka La Saki Janna Mani Vedana Jana Saki Janna Mani Vedana Jana Saki Janna Atmani Vedana Jana Saki Janna Atmani Vedana Govinda Dasa Abhi La Govinda Dasa Abhi La Shinandana Abaya Charanara Bindu Basha Ure Mana Shinandana Abaya Charanara Bindu Jayarat Agulokyanandarat Agulokyanandarat Nayarat Agulokyanandarat Hey, Jayarat, hey, Jayarat, hey, Jayarat, Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Sri Radhe Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidacharya, also Teta Sitashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shukhidas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadanta Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gaur Sayam Kun Radhavinda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Mathuram Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Yamuna Ki Jai. Shrimati Lasdevi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we'll read the translation. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which make one fearless, having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence by associating with saintly persons. Day and night I remain sleepless, suffering heat and cold, wind and rain. For a bit of flickering happiness I vainly serve wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all one's wealth, youth, sons and relatives? This life totters like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore you should always worship the lotus feet of Lord Hari. Govinda Das longs to hear the glories of Lord Hari, to chant his glories, constantly remembering him, offering him prayers, serve his lotus feet, become his servant, worship him, serve him as a friend, and completely offer him his very self. So Govinda Das Ki Jai. You did the dress very beautifully today. Chaitanya did a good job. All right, so we'll see if there's any questions. My fans online. So, switch back. All right. Stop sharing. Okay. Let me take you all off mute so you can ask questions. There's only 6 of them on right now. All right. Okay, does anyone want to ask a question? No questions. Does anyone want to ask a question? I guess no one wants to ask a question. The Kant is sleeping. And okay. You want to ask a question, Nalini Kant? Got to take yourself off mute.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, Dandavat Pranam, no question.
Bhagavatam class wouldn't be the same without you. Okay. No question. Okay, so we'll end now to allow everybody to go to sleep. All glories to divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda.